Hello, welcome back to Beyond Nuanda. Ever question reality? Ever question our purpose? Ever question what's beyond? Today, in this episode of Beyond Nuanda, we will be touching on the topic of Siddhartha from Indian culture. And I hope you like. Well, let's get to this show, shall we? Siddhartha tells the story of a young man in ancient India on a quest for spiritual enlightenment. Through his journey, he explores various paths from indulgence to asceticism to wisdom, each chapter revealing something new about the nature of the self and the universe. If you've ever asked yourself the big questions about life, purpose, or what it means to truly understand the world, Siddhartha might have some answers. It's a book that's been read by millions across the globe since its publication in 1922. And today we'll dive into its themes, characters, and of course, its deep spiritual insights. The novel follows Siddhartha, a young man from a Brahmin family in ancient India. He's intelligent, respected, and already set to lead a comfortable spiritual life. But Siddhartha feels that the teachings and comforts of his family are not enough for him. He's searching for something deeper, something more direct, and that's where his journey begins. I think one of the first big takeaways from the novel is the concept of inner experience. Siddhartha doesn't just want to follow a prescribed path, whether it's the teachings of his father or later the ways of the ascetics. He realizes that these paths don't offer him the direct experience of enlightenment. That's a huge point. Siddhartha's journey is ultimately about finding his own truth. The novel challenges the idea that spiritual wisdom can be taught or inherited. It has to be lived. And as we see throughout the story, his quest isn't linear. He makes mistakes, faces temptations, and gets lost. But it's through these experiences that he gains wisdom. One of the pivotal moments in Siddhartha's journey is when he encounters Kamala, a beautiful courtesan. This marks a significant shift for Siddhartha. He moves away from his previous ascetic lifestyle and begins indulging in the pleasures of the world, wealth, sensuality, and power. And it's important to note that Siddhartha isn't necessarily rejecting his spiritual search at this point. He's experimenting with life. In fact, his time with Kamala is a form of learning about the nature of desire, attachment, and the transient nature of pleasure. He immerses himself in the world of commerce and materialism, and for a while he lives in excess. But eventually, he realizes that even the wealth and pleasure he sought can't bring him peace. He becomes disillusioned, feeling that his pursuit of sensory enjoyment hasn't brought him the fulfillment he was seeking. This is when he turns away from it all, leaving behind his life of luxury to start anew. This part of Siddhartha's journey highlights one of the novel's central themes, the illusion of permanence. Everything that Siddhartha tries, whether it's extreme asceticism or hedonism, leads him to the realization that nothing the material world offers lasting fulfillment. And yet, this realization is crucial. It helps him understand the nature of suffering and the importance of finding balance. As Siddhartha continues his journey, he eventually encounters the river, a key symbol in the novel. It's at the river that he experiences one of his most transformative moments. The river becomes a metaphor for life itself, a flow that is both eternal and ever changing. Siddhartha learns to listen to it, to understand its rhythm, and to recognize that life is not something to be controlled, but something to be experienced in its fullness. The river is such a powerful symbol of the interconnectedness of all things. It represents time, change, and the cyclical nature of existence. When Siddhartha finally understands the river's teachings, he reaches a state of peace. He realizes that the key to enlightenment isn't rejecting the world or seeking something external. It's about being present, accepting life as it is, and understanding that everything is part of the same universal flow. And this brings us to another profound idea in Siddhartha, the idea of unity. Throughout the novel, Siddhartha learns to see beyond dualities, the division between self and other, pleasure and pain, life and death. He comes to understand that all experiences, all people, all things are interconnected. This unity is the heart of his enlightenment. It's a beautiful message, isn't it? That true wisdom and peace come not from seeking something outside ourselves, but from embracing the present moment and seeing the interconnectedness of all things. It's something that resonates deeply with Eastern philosophies, in particular Buddhism, and yet Hesse's writing gives it a distinctly human, universal quality. Before we wrap up, let's talk briefly about the ending. After years of seeking, Siddhartha finds peace, not in achieving some grand spiritual goal, but in living fully and accepting the present moment. The novel ends on a note of harmony as Siddhartha reflects on the fullness of his life and the wisdom he's gained. It's a reminder that enlightenment isn't a destination, it's a journey, and the journey itself is where wisdom lies. Siddhartha is a novel that invites us to look inward, to question the nature of happiness, and to explore the deeper truths that lie beyond the surface of life. Whether you're familiar with Eastern philosophies or just starting to explore these ideas, the novel offers a profound perspective on how we can live more meaningfully. All right, that brings us to the end of this episode of Beyond Nuanda. I hope you liked today's episode. And if you're interested about checking out the book, it's called Siddhartha and it's by the author Hermann Hesse. Stay tuned with Fryndarr later on this month for the next episode of Nuanda Archives. And if you ain't already following or subscribed, depending on the outlet that you find this podcast at, make sure you do so. And also make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the Nuanda Archives as well. It helps the podcast immensely. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a good day or night, depending on whenever you listen to this podcast. Peace.